Hello everyone, how are you? Today we are back with another video and this time I thought we'll do a season 2 tier test. Now as you can see I'm in the training range. I have this thing open on my PC. So first of all let's understand thing about tier lists, right? Most creators make it because they are playing at a very high rank and tier lists are true at that rank for them, but it does not mean that it's true for you at your rank. Most players in Overwatch, as you can see from this graph, which I think is fairly recent, it's about half a month old. Most players in Overwatch rank somewhere between gold and platinum. I'd go so far as to say that the tier list is somewhat consistent between silver and diamond. Most heroes are viable, but you need to know how to play. Of course, when you move from silver to gold to platinum and diamond, your skill level will increase, and certain heroes will then themselves make themselves a bit more viable to you, right? For example, you're getting better at a sojourn, you'll start to hit more headshots, and that will bring more value. But I don't think silver players or bronze players will be able to do that much more often compared to, let's say, diamond players. Okay. So taking that into mind, considering that I play at a gold to platinum range almost every day, I thought why not rank it for the most common population in Overwatch, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at some heroes, all of them, in fact, not some of them. We're going to understand where they currently stand, their perk status, okay, their damage numbers, their perk status, their current state, and we're going to put them in this tier list over here. So I've renamed it because I don't like the existing format. So you have to understand how this works. On the top, you have the S tier, which I've called as the OP or overpowered tier. These heroes are almost a must pick. You'll see them almost every game. They'll be dominating your matches. If you just master these heroes, I think in the current meta, which I'll define the meta once we get to the game itself, right? You'll be able to make really good use of it. Then you have viable picks. This is where a bulk of the hero roster will eventually fall in because a lot of them are very, very well balanced right now, except for a few weird things which will eventually trickle down in the bad section, right? Then you have situational counter picks. These include heroes which you can use to counter a certain type of tank or a DPS or a support that you see on the enemy team. And if you can manage to play this hero, you can definitely make the best use of it, even though it feels like a throw pick, right? And then you have a one trick zone. These heroes are not necessarily bad, but they bring in value only if you master the entire hero, right? So the difference between one trick and situational counter is that you don't need to be a complete master because you're trying to do an counter pick when you choose that hero, which is in this middle tier. But you need to be a complete master, and then you'll be able to carry yourself in almost any situation, even up against a counter playing tank, a counter playing DPS. You'll be able to manage it if you're playing this hero and you are a complete master at it, right? I think once we put some heroes in there, you'll understand it very, very well. Okay, let's jump back into the game. And our first hero is always Diva. Uh, Okay, so Diva is in a very broken state right now, according to a lot of people. If you watched some of the videos yesterday that I posted, a lot of people were telling me that Diva is completely broken. They don't like playing against her, and Blizzard themselves have obviously, understood this. They have nerfed her quite a bit in the last patch. Her health went down almost by 75 points since the launch of Season 9. She went from 725 to then 700, and now she's at 650 after the last patch, right? The reason behind all of these nerfs, and understand, is in her perks, right? Let's go here and understand how they work, right? Almost everybody would agree that if you're playing in a slightly brawly meta, you would probably go for an extended boosters perks to fly into a couple of the enemies, extend your duration, and just get out of the situation. Also dealing a good amount of damage, right? This deals 25 damage, and I think it's increased by 40%, so it will deal 35 damage, which is not a lot, but considering you're going to be doing something like this, that 35 damage adds up. Okay. The bunny power is good if you're getting demegged constantly, which ideally on Diva you should not be because once you get demegged, you're in a very vulnerable state. Although, if you're a very good player, you can you can make a lot of use of Baby Diva, right? She deals a considerable amount of damage, and you can farm that ult very quickly. So I think it ticks up by about 2% every second, and probably if you empty one clip into someone very well, even from a distance, because it's like a projectile. As you can see, I was able to hit that tank bot over there. You can get your mech back pretty quickly. So practically she has two lives. That's why people find her very annoying to play. She can stay back, farm the ult as a baby diva, and then go back into her mech form, almost being impossible to kill. You saw the first game where I won. I had, I think, two deaths, and that's because I was able to manage my cooldowns properly and my baby diva form properly. All right. So that being said, I think diva definitely goes into an OP pick right now. Okay. So I think the state is fairly good right now, although I do believe she could use a bit more health, especially considering that tanks don't really get healed that often. If your backline is being either dove constantly or your supports are just not up to the mark, which is very common in these ranks. The major point of frustration in these ranks for tanks is that they're not getting healed properly or that they're getting peeled out by the opposing DPS constantly, right? As Diva or as any other tank, maybe even Reinhardt, you have such a big hitbox that the opposing soldier, right? Let me just give you a very simple example. All I have to do is just sit here and just consistently shoot at you. I will farm my ult very easily off of you. Um, Imagine I'm playing as a Sojourn, right? This is what really good Sojourns end up doing. So I farmed the rail of the tank, and what I'll do is I'll one-shot someone. Okay, my aim is not that good. You get my point. So you become a alt battery for the opposing team, and you kind of have to play a stealthy playstyle all the time, right? Or utilize your cooldowns very effectively. So you cannot make any mistakes nowadays in Overwatch because you don't have anyone to back you up because of the 5v5 format. Okay. So that's why your defense matrix is a very important cooldown to manage. I think it's in a very good state right now, although I do believe that they need to think about the shield system perk a little bit. It grants you a lot of sustainability. It's a very good thing, but I don't think I want sustainability to come from that point of view where you're just eating their damage and then going back into the fight. Just put the shields back in the base kit, probably, if they think like that, like they did with Wrecking Ball, and just uh, just fix the health for Diva, right? I think she does not need to be at this low of health because she has a larger hitbox. But for comparison, Winston, this guy has one defensive ability, such a long cooldown, and this bubble is not very sustainable, right? It goes after, I think, 6 seconds. You have to be very careful when placing it. You have lesser armor. Guess what? You also have the same HP. So, yeah. Let's move on to the next tank. That was a bit of a rant. These are all dive tanks at first, right? They have been classified as an initiator, and I think that's what their job is, although it's a bit more complicated than that. Doomfist is and always will be a situational pick, and I think you need to master Doomfist very well, especially the cooldown management part of it, because you have so many counters in this game. Sombra can hack you, and Ana can nade you, or put you to sleep. Those are very effective counters. Although your defense power matrix perk, it allows you to manage some of that effectively, but that comes slightly late in the game. Maybe at that point you are about 4 or 5 fights down, or maybe, and if it's like a maybe a push match or push map or something, you have gone through a lot of meters, right? Probably the enemy has pushed past you because you are not able to contribute, right? That's why I mentioned that this hero needs to be in his own category. And that category is One Trick Zone. Same would apply to Wrecking Ball as well. I'm just giving you a spoiler here. Although Wrecking Ball has found some more utility recently because of this perk. You can transfer this to your allies like this. They get a bunch of overhealth. It's a good thing. But as one of the most sustainable and fast heroes in this game, you have to be good at Wrecking Ball to play it. You need to master the physics, you need to master grapple cooldown, you need to master whatever this is, right? If you go like this into the enemy team, you're probably getting naded and slept, and then that's it. Right? Because Ana is one of the most picked heroes in the game. Wrecking Ball is hard countered by Ana and definitely by Sombra as well. So you need to play at an angle, you need to manage your cooldowns, just ensure not to feed. You can't do this all the time, right? I'm not good at Wrecking Ball. I have never been good at it for a long time. And we're going to put Wrecking Ball in this tier as well. Everyone probably agree about this. One thing I found very interesting about Wrecking Ball is that if you use the guns on this guy very well, they do a lot of damage. So yeah, if you're struggling to climb on Wrecking Ball, maybe think about using the guns, going back into your ball form, maybe file driving a little bit. A lot of good Wrecking Ball players you could learn from them. But you don't see this hero very often in these golden flat ranks. So. Then we have Hazard, who I don't think should be in this initiator tier at all. This guy barely has a functioning dive ability. His weapon is okay. It's very much like Junker Queen's. I think my game is lagging. It's very much like Junker Queen's shotgun, except this is not hit scan. And you have to be good at aiming with it. Although I do like the slashing ability, the range on it is atrocious. It is super atrocious. Look at this. Can barely manage to go 20 meters. And considering people are going to be shooting at you all the time, yeah. That being said, his block is good. It does a lot of damage, especially with the Spike Guard's lifesteal perk. You can definitely sustain yourself. I had one really fantastic game last season where I was able to just live perpetually off the backline. So yeah, I think this guy is a very good off pick. We're going to put him there. He's not meta, right? He's a situational counter if you can manage it, and somewhat of a viable off pick if you're really good at it. So we're just going to put him here, probably towards the start of it. We do actually take the violent leap. Yeah, this actually becomes a bit more useful, but then you lose out on the lifesteal. So yeah, still an issue. Let's talk about Winston. Winston is in a very balanced state right now, but I think he needs a little bit of adjustments. I'd say I think we need to increase his damage a little bit. Considering the current meta, as I mentioned, I was going to talk about, I think we need to talk about the meta right now. It's very poke heavy, and you could dive, definitely do that all the time. But you need to be very, very careful about it because you will be getting poked out from all angles. Right? The latest heroes that they have added, very, very pokey. We are talking about Emre. We're talking about Emre. Where did he go? Emre, super poke, has a very long distance on his gun. Mizuki, also really, really long distance on this, and it bounces as well and can crit as well. So this is like a tank nightmare, right? It's a heavy poke meta right now. Domina, poke tank, classic poke tank, really fun hero to play if you can master the basics, but super pokey, just like Sigma. So when talking about this, right, if you're jumping in as Winston, you're probably getting almost all of your armor blown out by the enemy DPS or the supports, right? So what do you do about it? If you jump in, you're just tickling them slowly. See how long it takes to kill two people, right? I understand that it's not the job of a dive tank to kill a lot of people very quickly, but come on, we need to be able to do something, okay? And at these ranks, it's very common to blame things on your DPS, support, and whatever, but it's also the era, the 5v5 era of solo carrying games. So I think Winston needs a little bit of a buff on his weapon. It used to be 75, now they made it 70 to be balanced. Mind you, I think it's gone up from what used to be 50 or 60 back in the day. I think it needs to be a little bit higher so that you could confirm solo kills, especially on these very fast characters that like to escape you, right? Sierra, the latest character, she likes to bait your cooldowns and then she'll jump away. Although not very far, but that's far enough from the range of your beam, right? So I'm given that, and given Winston needs a little bit of help, I'm going to put him in B tier, the viable tier. You can definitely pick him. Winston is a very, very fun character to play if you're playing well. You know how to play Bubble. You can do very well. And obviously, one of the biggest skill checks in the game is the Winston ult. Right. The revitalizing barrier perk also makes you a little bit more tanky because you can sustain for a longer time. And then they added this new perk where you get like slightly faster movement speed, which okay, allows you to chase someone, but you know, what good is chasing someone if they're constantly headshotting you? So you got to think about that. Can't chase them for a long time. You need to come back to your team. That's the Winston cycle, right? Enough talk about dive tanks. Let's move on to our next role, which is Bruiser. Yeah, they are. I think they are at a fairly good stage right now. Mauga is an underrated pick. I've always enjoyed playing Mauga, even through the nerfs, even through the buffs. Mauga is an excellent character to play if you want to solo carry on tank. You get over health on any crits that you do after burning or just normally as well. Alright. So yeah, Mauga has good sustain, but he has some amazing counters. Like you could play a really good Sigma or Ana and just shut him down completely. And even Diva shuts him down. So I'm going to put Mauga here, but he's definitely better than Hazard. Hazard will feed a lot more compared to a Mauga because you can poke as Mauga as well. Look at the damage that I'm doing. Just this is a long distance. It's 30 meters. It's practically Domina and Sigma's weapon range. I can just sit here. I can do a little bit of chip damage and then I can move in. And we do a lot of damage moving in, especially after we have taken the major perk. I like the reloading perk, which means that, you know, you just do this. You have now ignited them. Now you have reloaded. So once you slam in and you go all in on maybe the supports or the DPS, you have almost all of your ammo back. Next hero, Orisa. They fixed her, right? She's no longer as tanky as she used to be. Let me see if did they. Yeah, they removed the range on the gun as well, which I think is a very good thing. Almost all projectile weapons should have this by all chances. I think her health is at a good stage. She has almost all defensive tools, fortify, javelin spin, and even this get away from you ability. Very, very good tank right now. Given this is a poke meta, Orisa can poke and brawl very effectively at range, right? Your weapon does not have any fall off. Very good tank for this meta, actually, I'd say. But, you know, because of your slightly smaller head pool and your susceptibility to certain heroes that are very mobile, because you don't have any mobility tools, right? Compared to Mauga, who has a 5-second cooldown and a running away ability, which cannot be stopped, by the way. You, on the other hand, have to use Fortify and you move slowly. If you want to move a little bit faster, you have to use this other ability, which is not good. So otherwise, you have to take this minor perk where you don't get any movement speed loss. So yeah, you're going to get poked out, but then you need to play really good angles to sustain. Her ult is trash. I think this the one reason why I think she'll never be an S tier tank for me. It's a very beginner friendly tank though. Fairly good counter pick. So I'm going to put her in a situational counter. You don't see her very often, but she's a very, very good character. She plays very well into Mauga, by the way. Next tank, Roadhog. You know what is going to happen with Roadhog, right? This guy has a perpetual one-shot combo. People hate it. So that's why I think they nerfed the cooldown on the the chain hook. Now it's 8 seconds. Let's be honest about it. It's not going to change anything about the one shot. Especially after you have gotten the minor perk, which gives you the range increase on it. A very good tank if you know what to do. If you're not doing what you should do, pulling the DPS or the supports away from their place and just disrupting the entire team, going off on an off angle, you're not playing Hog well. Right. For that reason, I think I'll put Hog on a viable, good off-pick place. Where did Hog go? Is a very viable off-pick. He counters a lot of tanks by displacing them like this. So if 80% of your team, 4 players are getting one shot by this thing, you're at a good stage. That being said, you are vulnerable to every CC ability in the game. You move like a slow truck. Yeah. So you got to play it correctly. You don't have a lot of range, although this range increasing perk is really good. I like it. It allows me to poke a little bit because, like I said, it's a poke meta. You have to poke before you go in and do something. Coming back to Zarya, I've just watched a video yesterday by Kajor. I think Zarya is perpetually in the pro play meta because of what you can do with the double bubble. And you can definitely bubble your aggressive players like an Anran or a Vendetta. And even your Genji, if Genji is still being played, right? And Zarya scales off very quickly of the IQ of the enemy team. I'm going to use that line here. If your enemy team, even in Gold and Platinum, you see that all the time, they'll keep shooting at Zarya bubbles and she'll perpetually be over 50 or 80 charge, which is very devastating if you're playing as a tank character or a squishy DPS who does not have any mobility. She's going to push into you very well. She does not have a lot of poking capability. She's more towards, a brawl-oriented playstyle. But she can punish a lot of tanks. She can definitely punish her front line, but just being there, managing her cooldown very effectively. Her ult is also really good at this stage right now. Stops all movement abilities. So I'm going to place her in a viable, good off-pick location. Maybe a situational counter, because a lot of people like to pick Zarya against D.Va. Although I think that D.Va has more than enough mobility to play against her Zarya. I just played her yesterday against Zarya. It's fine. But yeah, if you're playing against a good Zarya as a D.Va, good luck. She's going to shred through your team and then she's going to come after you. Okay. Now let's move on to Domina. Domina is in a very good state right now. I'd say that she's almost meta. Maybe next to Sigma, because Sigma I think has slightly better shield management capabilities, especially after this perk. But nevertheless, I'm going to put her in the meta tier because her cooldowns are so amazing to manage. Yeah, if you get pushed as Domina, just push them back. It's on a 7-second cooldown. Just back away a little bit. Your gun has enough range, and if you want more range, you just increase it with this perk, which is really good if you're playing in a very pokey game. Maybe you have a Sigma or a couple of DPSs poking at you all the time. Just increase the range of your Photon Magnum. See? You're back in the game. Her shield is good. It's more like a Ramatra shield, to be honest, but a bit weaker. Doesn't have enough HP in a single barrier. And often you'll see Dominas put up the shield, and maybe two or three blocks will get broken very quickly. So you just need to take another side and start poking again. It's manageable. So, that way it's not broken completely. And it's like it doesn't stay there forever, right? It goes away after 6 or 8 seconds. So that's also good. So overall, Domina, very good state right now. Her ult is a bit bad. You'll often miss it, or maybe hit one or two people with it, and because it can be broken, you'll not do enough damage. That being said, still, Domina is played well. Definitely because she survives a lot. Where did she go? Definitely an OP pick. And by the way, Domina's primary fire kind of eats through Diva's shield, Diva's defense matrix, but the shot that she fires, that's a hit scan shot, and that will be eaten by defense matrix. So, you can do half damage, uh, but yeah, you have much more to target Diva. This push ability, it pushes Diva very far because she does not have the 40% movement speed or boop reduction, which what are these tanks called, by the way? Stalwart tanks have, like Reinhardt and Domina. Okay. Moving on to the next tank, Jungle Queen. Very situational off-pick meta. I don't think I need to talk about it for a long time. A very situational off-pick meta because Jungle Queen is a brawl tank. You need to be very good with her gun, just like with Hazard, to actually get a lot of value out of it, because what you will be doing is a sort of a roadhog hook thing. You fish this person, they don't come as far as a hook, that's why it's not overpowered. But then you're displaced, and most likely you'll have a bleed applied on you, which heals her up continuously. Good Junker Queens are always doing a really good cooldown management. Their heals are almost always up. And because of the way the knife works and the way that it arcs, for example, if I throw it like here, I get it here, it'll come through both of these guys and you'll still get the bleed effect. That's good for sustain. She's got a lot of sustain if you can manage it. If not, you will get poked out very quickly because you, my friend, have no range. You got to play up close. And that's hard to do if you have tanks pushing you away, or just you're getting constantly CC'd by either an Ana or another DPS, right? May is a very, very good counter pick against Junker Queen. She can slow down your movement speed using a primary fire, and she has a really good sustain. Her ult is pretty good though. So that's why I put her up in situational pick. And I think she plays really well into Mauga if you can manage it. They both play off the lifesteal mechanic. Not the lifesteal, but the healing themselves by damaging others mechanic in slightly different ways. And this is a fight win if you can manage it. Her ult. Let's talk about Ramantra. I think Ramantra is in a very good state right now. They did move his minor to major perk, but that's okay. Very, very good tank right now. I'm going to, because Ramatra is the game's first quote-unquote tempo tank, and he also has an insane secondary form, which beats Ryan, by the way, any day. And they also added this to his base kit, which is cool. Yeah, Ramantra has so much sustain. He can play very well against all types of tanks. If someone is pushing you, you go into their face. If someone's playing far from you, you can poke them out. You can definitely poke out a Domina or a Sigma if you're playing well against them. I think the only heroes that will pose good threat to you are like a Winston or a Diva or any other dive tank with really good mobility, and if the player is managing it well, you will be in trouble because they will just kill your backline and you'll have nothing. Okay, otherwise, really good tank. We are going to put Ramatra in S tier now. Where did he go? Definitely S tier. Talking about Reinhardt, the perpetual sad boy of Overwatch. You need to do so much to get value on Ryan. It's not even funny. But if you know how to play Ryan, you'll get a lot of value on him, especially against some of the poke tanks who cannot, stand you in their face because you have that 40% knockback resistance, the poop resistance, and you do an insane amount of damage in a one-on-one counter. So if you're able to close that distance and manage your shield effectively, you're really good. Otherwise, brother, you're getting put into the C tier. The situational counter pick to some tanks if you can manage it. And he's the worst of them, let's be honest about it. Reinhardt needs some changes. Sigma. I'm conflicted. Should I put Sigma in S tier or should I put him in a slightly lower tier? Okay, I fell down. Sorry. But yeah, Sigma, really good. One of the classic Overwatch tanks. You can just poke out consistently, given that your shield will now also regenerate. You do damage to enemies with your primary fire. The only thing hard with this person is that you need to figure out the projectile path, which, let's be honest, if you're playing at a mid rank in Overwatch, you've kind of also already figured that out. His cooldown management is a bit tough. All of his cooldowns are very high. Shield, if you go down on shield, it will take 5 seconds, and in that 5 seconds, I think you regenerate only half of it. Accretion, which is his E, is on, I think, a 10-second cooldown. His Eat ability, which I've mapped to Q, is on a 12-second cooldown. So you need to manage all of this effectively, but then once you do, you are unstoppable. Result is good if you can hit it, but you will get CC'd out of it more often than not. Okay. And yeah, you also have this. So you can absorb projectiles with your Eat ability or your Shift or Q. And get back your rock much faster, which is actually a good ability. If you're playing into a heavy poke meta, there's a soldier or an Emre shooting at you constantly, maybe even a Bastion. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of rocks. And rocks are really good. Sigma also goes into S tier for me. I think that's it for the tanks right now. Let's go on to DPS. Let me take a small break. We'll be back. Okay, we're back. And the first DPS on the roster is Bastion. I think Bastion is broken right now in this rank. He will shred through your front line. And even though his grenade configuration thing has been nerfed, the configuration reload, look at how much damage you're able to do. His gun deals 25, okay, deals 23 damage, but it's like a mini soldier 76 that can become like this every 12 seconds. So, it's like a Ramatra. You become very scary the moment you change forms. So, yeah, I mean, figures they're both Omnics. Result is very bad, but it's a zoning ability, not really meant to do damage, but you can do a lot of damage with it as well. Bastion for me, I think you can count. If you can counter Bastion, that's good. Otherwise, he goes into an S tier. We're just going to put in a viable good off-pick location, because of the amount of damage he's doing and because we are in a heavy poke meta right now. Emre. They finally fixed Emre, didn't they? I love it. Once you master this hero, I don't think you'll be going back to playing Soldier 76 if you're playing Soldier at all. He's just a better DPS. Yeah. Really good range. His damage is a bit iffy. I think his ult is also very slow to come up. But the grenade is really good. I hope they don't nerf it. I like it. And I enjoy the fact that it bounces off a couple of times before it blows up. So you can just, peel, not peel, but attack people that are hiding behind. His ult is really good. Especially if you get nano though. I think it does 175 damage, so you just delete tracers and a lot of their team. Like that. Siphon Blaster, I think it needs a lot of improvements. It does okay damage, but feels a bit clunky to use, because it's not hit scan. You need to learn a little bit of projectile aim to manage it. Any case, Emre goes back into S tier. Our next hero is Junkrat. Just a situational play. Not much to talk about Junkrat. You just need to master the one-shot combo. It does a lot of damage up front to tanks and squishy people. If you don't have any movement abilities and you're caught against a Junkrat in a narrow corner, you are cooked. Absolutely cooked. This is the first DPS that goes into a one-trick zone. Because although he can poke a lot, you cannot consistently get hits from his grenades. You have to be really good at it. Mei. I think Mei's in a very good spot. She's always been there because she has a lot of sustain. The wall can block off a lot of damage. And look at this. This does a lot of damage. I think it's a 140 headshot, isn't it? Oh my god, it's 85. It does 170 damage on a headshot. No wonder your tanks are not surviving. Yeah, Mei is in a very good spot. A very viable tank. Although she's more suited towards a brawl play style, but she has a good sustain. I think you can definitely put Mei somewhere between a viable and an S tier. We're going to put her in viable tier, but you can definitely put her in an OP tier right now. Her perks are really good as well. I like the double jumping perk because it just confuses the enemy and you can go back to poking. Soldier 76, the sad boy from the... Oh wait, I think, yeah, Soldier got a recent change, right? Where you can reload while running. I mean, this should have been there since the start of the game, but okay. Soldier is one of my most played DPS heroes. I think I can counter pretty much any DPS at my rank when playing Soldier, but that's because I have practice on him. Otherwise, Soldier has always been a basic pick. If your aim is just decent, I don't mind being slightly AFK character, trying to find off angles and just poking them out. Because you've got really good range on your gun, you can manage it. And there's a combination of perks that I like to use. The Helix Rocket one, and let's get the next one as well. That, I think a lot of Soldier players go for it anyway.
I've got you in my
But you need to burn this off first. Okay, now we got it. So if you use the stim pack and this thing, you will just melt through the enemy team. That's what I always do, but it's kind of a repetitive strategy and does not work if the enemy team runs away or has a block slop problem.
Tango erased.
So we're going to put Soldier in a situational counter pick tier right now because your damage is not enough to get kills really consistently unless you're doing it very well. But you can definitely make really, really good use of him. But if you want a better Soldier, just go for Emre.
Bite the bullet.
Symmetra. Symmetra is a bit like Mei because you have a really good poking attack that scales off of your weapon damage. And you can brawl really well. So she's a nightmare for almost all tanks, including Diva. And especially if you set up the piece correctly. Because they also slow down the enemy. That being said, she's very easy to get traded on from distance by characters like Emre, Kiriko, Bap. So I'm just going to put her in a situational counter pick tier. You've got good utility. Definitely good team utility with the teleporter.
Teleporter manifested.
And if you use the right set of perks, you can definitely
Iterate.
get heals off of it as well. This one is a
Delightful
very, very
conversation.
good perk.
There is no place for
You
you
can
in my
brawl
game.
very well with this. But that must mean that the enemy is in your face, right?
Adjusting
This
turret
meta,
placement.
according to me,
A
I don't think the
constructive
enemy
use of
will be in your
space.
face. Torb, I think Torb is much better than
Rules
Symmetra.
command, brain in key.
Not only
I
do you do
am
more weird poke
quickly.
damage, just like Junkrat, you can also headshot people from a distance. I think I have kind of figured out how his gun works, and you can melt tanks with it very quickly,
Cruise
as well
to
as squishies. Your turret is insane. Just, AFK farm your turret damage. Look at it. I think I recently won a game where I just placed a turret in a very cool spot. They were not able to hit it. So, yeah, the enemy was just forced to play a little bit
satisfactory.
safely, which eventually led to them being traded upon very quickly. Because, I was sitting at this corner just poking them like this. So easy. So, yeah, Top is better. I'm going to put Top in a viable off pick.
Scrapped.
Ash. I believe Ash is in a
I'm the
very good spot
last
right
one
now.
you'll ever cross.
Yeah, Ash definitely S tier, man. You need to be good at aiming, but once you have that figured out, it's got good
Tell the
range.
devil I
Yeah,
said howdy.
I genuinely think Ash is going into the S tier. I don't play her often, so I don't have a lot of commentary on it, but I've seen really good Ashes play. They barely get like 2 deaths per game,
Smoke 'em out of there.
and even if you get dove, you can just back off into your team, into a safe spot, probably into a health pack, and
That'll do nicely.
manage it. So there's also this double coach can perk, which you can use, create some
Remember who's in
distance.
charge.
Cassidy,
Someone needs to fill this saddle.
this guy keeps going back between an A and a B tier for me.
Right where it hurts.
I'm not really good at Cassidy aim. I think I'm better with Ash than Cassidy. But Cassidy is really good right now because you can poke out tanks, and I think you get a cooldown
Miss
reduction
anybody?
of your combat roll every time you hit headshots because of the shooter perk. Yeah, this guy goes into good viable off pick tier. It's not S tier as Ash because once again your damage fall off is very
More
significant,
grit than that.
and if you get dove upon by a Winston or even a Doomfist Slam,
It's
you're pretty much done
brutal
for.
out here.
Your ult is very bad compared to Ash's ult Bob. No, it's not good.
Honor is all I have.
Hanzo. I think you guys know where Hanzo is going, right? He's one of those tanks. He's one of those DPS tanks.
There is no escape.
Yeah. Just AFK farm people with Hanzo. See how much damage he does. You're playing against good Hanzos, good luck. I don't think you'll even survive for a second. If you're a squishy hero, you need to hide behind your tank. Very viable situational counter pick. Put him in a one-trick zone. He's a very one-trick hero because this game is filled with a lot of head scan heroes. Even Widowmaker, right? I think my game is lagging out a little bit. Even Widowmaker is practically Hanzo. Given it also you have to charge her shot, but it's head scan, which means you don't need to worry about their aim. Sorry, not your aim, but people moving out of your way. His ult, it's pretty dog shit. Honestly, Widow's ult is also very bad. So Hanzo goes into the one-trick zone. Honestly, Widow also goes into the one-trick zone. We don't need to talk about it
I
a
aim
lot.
to devastate.
but she is really good in this meta if you can play her. So yeah, I think she's one of the better situational counter picks. We're just going to rearrange it like this. In terms of DPS, if you can manage on Widow, I don't think at any level of play you could be stopped. Let's talk about Sojan though.
We're in this together. All of us.
Okay, Sojan used to be the hero that actually got me through Silver, so I respect her a lot. I think I don't have the skill and the latency to play her in
Right on
this
the
meta
money.
right now. She can poke really well, and she has a really good one-shot combo. So plays really well into the meta, really good into tanks, especially if you take the disruption
A
shot
solid
slowing
upgrade.
perk, you cannot be
Dodge
dove upon
this.
really quickly.
Enhanced
Your
accuracy.
ult is really good and definitely put you in S tier. I think a lot of people will not agree with this, but it's okay. Let's talk about Anran. I think
Fire in my heart
a
will
lot of
ignite
people
the
find
others.
Anran very annoying to deal with.
Incinerated. Now I'm really fired up.
And it's the case if the Anran is managing their cooldowns very effectively, right? And so here's the quick tip for everyone. I think if you guys would have figured it out already. So the trick is that you need to poke a little bit in the
I'm
pre-fight,
burning up.
maybe from distance, maybe close up. Because if you do it close up, you're going to get traded on very quickly. Once you know the enemy is like this and you're able to close a distance, use the first one to just kind of light. I think a couple of passes will ignite them, right? The first, let me show you this again. The first one will put them on the threshold of being ignited.
Set ablaze.
You do it like this. They are now on fire. You just put a couple of flames on, just go through them again, and if you have not killed anyone, you can just press E, and this will instantly delete them. Also, you now get health from it, so you have a lot more sustain right now. So Andon did get a lot of buffs just because of this. But then again, if you're playing against a heavy brawl form, maybe a Reinhardt or someone or like a Brig swinging through you, it might be difficult to deal damage consistently. Yeah, and Hurt is really good, I'd say. Yeah,
Too much pressure?
but I think most often you'll end up using it for self-res if you get traded on. So yeah, Anran, where did she go? Put her in a good viable off pick. She might be an OP pick if the meta changes slightly in her favor. Not right now, not according to me. Kenji, Kenji, okay, dude, Kenji is in a very bad state. You have much better dive tanks right now. Anran is so much better than Genji. So Anran has like a couple of dashes. I know she does not have a deflect, but her E not only allows her to be invincible, but also heals her. So yeah, you need to use Kenji's major perk to even come close to that. So Kenji is only useful if you're getting the Swift Drive resets, which is very hard to get if you're being constantly poked upon. That being said, Genji is much harder to hit. Um, so if your movement is really good, you can manage it. I'm going to put him in this tier, situational counter. Especially if you're playing against something like a Bastion or a Mauga, just constantly hitting your team. Kenji can be really good at deflecting those high burst shots. Get a lot of value from it. Reaper's in a really good spot right now. He recently got his long range shot. Finally, he will delete all tanks from the game, given the chance. So, yeah, I think he's an S tier because he's one of those off-pick things that you just choose, go into someone's face, See how much damage you are doing. Hmm. I think he might be low-key S tier right now. Yeah. Especially at these ranks. If someone just breaks through your line and just goes into your team, you'll not be able to stop it as a tank because you will get traded by the Reaper. Yeah, so it's a bit hard. Tracer, Tracer, really good spot right now. I think I like her damage, fairly balanced. They did remove the perk where you will get able to get all of your blinks back. I kind of want that perk back. And Tracer plays well in almost any meta if you can play her. That being said, if you don't know what you're doing, you are going to have a very bad time on Tracer. Very, very high skill hero. Good viable off pick though. Really much like Anran, but with slightly lower health pool. Mm, Vendetta, yeah. I think not a lot needs to be said about Vendetta. Just S tier. Even with the health nerf, even with all of this, she's got an insane damage into your team. If she goes into your squishy backline, you're going to get deleted from the game. And she has an escape tool and a tool to go in as well. S tier. Easy S tier. Venture. Okay, Venture is a situational off pick. You need to know how to play her. You've got decent range on your attack, especially after you get that perk. And increases the speed as well, I think. Yeah, it increases your projectile range. So I like to take this perk so that you can, your two cooldowns refresh faster anyway while you're burrowed. You have good mobility. Go in, do a bit of damage to the backline, come back.
You'll love to see it.
Yeah, this range increase is actually really good, Yeah, but Venture is not that great, so she's going to be put in a situational counter tier. I think we're going to have to rearrange some of these heroes after we are done. Because I've not put anyone in the bad zone yet. Don't worry, I have something figured out for that. Echo!
I am always ready to learn.
Echo, really good situational counter pick hero.
Patience pays off.
Much like Farah, you're probably always in the air
Efficiency.
and you can poke out a lot like her. So we're going to put both of these heroes in the same spot. They're both situational, but you need to be kind of good at playing both those heroes because they have projectile aim and you have slightly lower HPs, right? You will get traded uh, by the poke meta, and it's filled with heroes like Emre and Soldier who are hit scanned. Not really good news for you. So both Echo and Farah, they get put in a situational counter pick zone. Although you could argue that they are very good viable off picks as well, if you know how to play them. Freya is actually really good right now. So much poke, so much damage into tanks and switchies. You need to be just good with her projectile aim because it does a lot of damage and your mobility will do the rest. See how you deleted a tracer. I'm going to put her in a slightly. Okay, she's a very, very viable pick. Okay, let's talk about Sierra, the latest hero.
Aw, don't look so glum.
Is she trash? Not really.
I'm cleaning up.
My God, she can poke. I was in a game, and as a tank, she's a nightmare to play against. She's just another Soldier 76. But this time with the name bot on, I think there's what is an 8-second cooldown, right?
Right on target.
Yeah. Not good news for you, especially after she has gotten this perk. Her alt is very strong.
Double
Very
kill.
strong. I used it in a tight space and it just deletes people.
I'm gunning
Yeah.
for
See?
MVP.
Once you get that perk, you don't have this spiraling thing on your gun.
Steady
It's,
aim.
it's just doing 28 damage per volley. Just insane damage, by the way.
Hot on your trail.
Triple kill.
Y'all felt like testing me today, huh?
Major pack unlocked.
This one.
Oh, hell yeah. Tracking.
Just delete people
Call my
with it.
shots and hit 'em all.
Got decent mobility. Definitely an S tier right now. But I think she is a viable pick because she can get Dover Pawn a little bit. Yeah, I think we need a little more playtime with Sierra to understand what happens. And the first patch should hit her probably with some sort of a nerf, I
There
think.
are no secrets.
We'll see.
You
It
ain't
might be
ready
on the
for a
tracking
fight.
shot or it might be on the gun. We'll
Fire
see
was
it.
planted. Gotta go.
Yeah, Sombra is the first hero in our bad tier. Spoiler alert. She can hack, she can target your backline. That's what people say.
That made my
But
day.
honestly, people have gotten used to playing against Sombras. She gets constantly banned. Before Vendetta came into the game, Sombra was a constant ban. And yeah, her gun does a lot of
Sorry,
damage.
but you didn't make the cut.
But in reality, you're just poking people with it very slowly. And you need to be up in their face. If you go up in their face and you get detected, you're not going to survive.
Trojan apagando las luces.
And your ult has gotten nerfed so many times that I don't think it's even viable to talk about it at this moment. I'm just going to put Sombra into the bad tier right now. She can get
Someone
good
call.
after the rework. There is something scheduled for this season, I think. On the next one, we'll have to see and understand. Okay, let's quickly wrap up the supports as well. Ana, really good right now.
Not
Poke is her
Broken
playstyle. You can
down.
also heal your tanks really well, but you're susceptible to a dive.
Surprise.
Classic Ana. I don't think they should change her. Just keep her as it is. Really good support to have on your team, especially with that headshot perk. You can be a menace.
No wonder I can't retire.
She's, she's not meta. She's a very good viable pick. Next support, BAP. BAP. Dude, if you know how to play BAP, I think your entire team will love you because not only do you do consistent damage like Ana, you have two tools to just frustrate the enemy, much like Ana, but in a slightly different way. You can keep yourself alive with this, which I think is on a shorter cooldown since a couple of seasons. The regenerative burst is really good for farming up your ults. You've got decent range. You're just like a mini Emre, okay? And you can just poke out from a long distance. Also, your hit scan. Much easier to hit your shots. You're going in the viable tier. You're not S tier yet. Cat. Let's talk about it. Cat, you need to know how to play this character. Very hard to play against a good cat because good cats are always poking into you like this, in your face, or probably supporting your team from the side, or probably supporting their team from the side. Like, they'll be taking an off angle like this, and then they'll go into the team, press E. Now their tanks are all healed up. Now they'll go back to that off angle, start poking you a little bit, and once they have that ult, you're done. One. Yeah, really good pick right now. If you can manage to play the cat, she's usually banned, which is a It's a good thing for the game right now. But you don't really have that amount of healing to keep up. Lucio,
We're here to be
really
heard.
good in a brawl meta. Not really right now. I think it's a situational pick if you know how to play him. We're going to put him in the C tier. So Lucio is I think Mizuki is Lucio 2.0. So Mizuki's healing aura goes up to the level of Lucio. The more damage you do, and as a Mizuki, you're constantly piling up damage on either a DPS or a frontline tank. Anyone on the front line is getting poked out by a Mizuki, and it's much easier to hit his shots. The his sickles, I think, whatever his weapon is, right? That comes out much faster than Lucio's weapon. Although Lucio does more damage eventually, that's how it is. That being said, Lucio's main usage comes from his speed boost. You need to be able to manage that effectively. That's why I put him in the C tier. If you can manage to play Lucio and your team is going on a full all brawl mode, which I don't think they should right now, you can definitely play Lucio. Push in with your Reinhardt or maybe like your who else is a really good brawl tank? You can push in with a Zarya as well or a Ramatra and even Junker Queen. Play really well with you, Lucio. They don't need a lot of heals, especially Junker Queen. And even a Mauga, so you can just constantly dominate them.
Got two left feet.
Next, Zen, really good right now. Poking. If you're playing against a tank that does not need a lot of heals, I just do this. 150 damage on a tracer. Yeah. Not much to be said about Zen. Fairly simple hero. You just poke from one angle, discord enemies, hide. And one of your perks also gives you a second harmony op, so you can heal a little bit more. Good Zens will always manage healing and damage. They're constantly damaging someone, and their Discord orb is also always up.
Interesting.
A bit like Moira. So yeah, very very viable pick. His ult is really good as well. Kiriko,
I'll find my
I
own
think
path.
nothing much needs to be said about her.
痛そう
I think they really recently increased something healing per Fuda. They increased the range on it. They're trying to make her a heal bot eventually because last patch they increased the speed of the healing of Fuda.
もう大丈夫
So now it's much faster. And your heats are actually really good as well. But you also do a lot of damage. So yeah, permanently S tier, especially given what Suzu does. Yeah,
Draw
permanently
strength
S
from
tier.
nature.
Life Weaver. Okay. I actually like playing Life Weaver a lot. You do a good amount of poke with it, and you have enough heal.
Have it getting worse. Hop on.
Yeah, your healing boson recently got buffed to 90 damage, right? So you do a lot more healing now. You can farm. See how quickly I farmed tree with him. Yeah, much really good for heal botting. And I know people don't want to heal bot, but someone in your team will have to heal bot a little bit because the other support will be going off for damage. Your ult is also really good. Blocks off line of sight. It has a lot of HP. You get overhealth from it.
Bounding forth.
Uh, Stays up there for a long time as well. See, got 100 overhealth. Really good. Got a lot of sustain.
Take
You can
cover.
fool
The
people,
tree's gone.
and now it cleanses as well.
The numbers better.
But just because he doesn't have enough damage, I don't think I can put him in the S tier. I believe if you're playing Life Weaver correctly, it's a really viable pick. Let's talk about Mercy. Mercy
Don't
got
worry,
a
I'll be right
flash heal
behind you.
finally.
Checking in. I am empowering you.
If you press R,
I'll make sure that doesn't scar.
You can do a lot more with Mercy. Mercy is constantly, I'd say, a mid pick. You need to know how to play her really well, especially the damage boosting. She's like Lucio, you know. You need to manage her left and right click very effectively. And now that she has got a way to flash heal you, good mercies are always very hard to kill. Very viable pick right now, but I think her damage did not base fast. Yeah, her healing did not increase a lot, but that's okay. Mm, I think with the current buff, she is definitely a viable pick. Otherwise, she should be a situational pick. Moira, I don't need to talk about her a lot. You know she's S tier. Heal botting and a damage botting Moira, constantly right-clicking into enemies. So annoying. Any rank, if you can manage your cooldowns well, especially after your perks, which increase your fade and your biotic orbs consistency. Really, really good hero. I love it. People will hate me for saying this, but very simple hero. Not a lot of skill expression, but you can keep your team up. You can do a consistent amount of damage. I don't think you need anything else. Yes, you lack versatility and ability, utility for your team. You know, like let's say like a Life Weaver Pearl or a Kiriko Suzu. But you don't need those things if the enemy team is not alive, you know. So that kind of answers the haters. That being said, Moira is also very annoying to play against. You need to just kill her after her fade is used. So in this stage, Moira is very vulnerable. She'll eventually end up using her biotech orb and probably look for a way to run away. So you have like a window of 4 or 5 seconds where you need to burst her down. That's why she's a bit OP. I'll talk about Brig, right? I think I'm finding Brig a lot more useful to play nowadays. Because if you do actually decide to brawl, Brig is really good. You get your repair packs much faster now by 0.75 seconds. So yeah, if you're bashing into people very constantly, let's do this. You're getting it faster, right? I think they reduced the just to 5 seconds, right? Effectively, yeah, it was 5.5 seconds as well. So this is very good, right? Now I've got the perk. Let's put all 3 packs here and now see. Okay, I have 2 packs. I'm also not dead because I'll be managing my shield. And do it like this. You can hide behind, maybe you're low on HP, and then just go back to it. Maybe you can play her a little bit well in a poke meta as well, especially her ult. Really good for pushing up 2 chokes, you know, because you get a lot more armor. Your team gets over health, and this effect lasts enough time for you to push through chokes. I like her. Brick goes into a viable pick. Ariari, S tier. I think people have finally figured out how to play Ariari. Ever since Iliari released, I have always had the opinion that she's a very good character to play. Although she has gotten a little bit of nerfs, I think, to her solar rifles, healing and damage. She's very viable and she can poke from range as well. You just need to be good with her weapon. That's all. The pylon does your healing job for you. S tier for me right now. Okay, let's talk about the next hero, Juno. Juno is in a very bad state right now. Because your heals are just not sufficient. Okay. The healing 72 base, which is not bad. It's almost equal to Ana, but then it all comes in 12 bullets. Okay. If you do the math, that adds up to 6 per heal. And it also has a range fall off.
Threat neutralized.
Which is 25 meters, which is decent actually, I'd say. But you need to be constantly shooting at your team. Where Juno shines, although, is her ability to be constantly unkillable. The heal boost and this burst healing is also not bad. So you just need to play her a bit effectively, especially when playing against poke heroes like Emre or Soldier, who will definitely kill you out of the air. So she goes into a situational counter for me. Honestly, she's not viable because there's a lot of damage happening and she cannot heal up that damage. Mizuki, on the other hand,
My own pace.
Mizuki has such a good damage that he can mitigate a lot of things and he can also shut down dives. I cannot count how many
Don't
times
get
I've
yourself
gotten shut
killed.
down by a Mizuki. His healing is insane. With the hat, you farm up your ult very quickly because you're doing a lot of damage.
Don't bother trying again.
And this thing does headshot damage as well. So yeah, I think he's a very good pick. Very good pick. His ult is good because it blocks all projectiles inside it. It does not last as long as you would like it to be, but that's
You know
fine.
what they say? Just
Wuyang
go with the
also,
flow.
poke meta. He does a lot of damage to the poke. Yeah.
Guess my training's
Although
paying
his
off.
healing is really bad. Very bad healing. But you've got enough tools to keep yourself up. If you learn how to play the odds, you can manage it. So if you take this thing,
Nice.
right?
Reverse the
Wait, I'll
tide.
show you something. Right, you put this healing orb on this guy, and now you're constantly damaging someone. Your damage will increase.
小菜一碟.
That's a good thing, right? Which means you must be constantly doing this.
I
So you
grow
just
up.
put this on a tank or something, and constantly doing damage, you're really good. So yeah, let's put him in S tier now. So we have 5 supports in S tier. They're very good now that I see it. And they all play very well into a poke or a dive composition. Moira and Kiriko especially. Um, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 DPS up there. Um, 3 of whom who can poke, and 2 are very good brawly and flanky characters. If these two go inside your team, you cannot help it. And yeah, talking about tanks, we have 4 really good tanks right now. These represent different play styles. You have one dive, 2 poke tanks, and Ramatra being like the hybrid of a poke tank as well as a brawl tank. So he fills your Reinhardt role
Oh,
effectively.
easy.
That's it for the tier list. I hope you liked the video. Please be sure to like and subscribe. See you again in the next one. We'll definitely continue our series. Goodbye.